Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah ma ba'd. So let us begin by reciting one of the main sections about Hajj. And inshallah ta'ala, for those that are in my package, one of the things I'll be doing, I'll be going over all the verses of Hajj, the days before Hajj, so that we have a better understanding of the Quranic verses that we should be aware of Hajj. But without a doubt, perhaps the most significant that those of you that are going for Hajj should memorize, should be aware of, should read the tafasir is Surah Al-Baqarah. It begins before verse 196, but we're going to be doing 197 onwards, just a few reminders, and then inshallah go over some of the aspects I wanted to go over. So verse 196 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 200 onwards is an essential passage that deals with Hajj, but in particular, perhaps one of the most important phrases you should remember is the one that is in 197, and that goes as follows. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحج أشهر معلومات فمن فرض فيهن الحج فلا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال في الحج وما تفعلوا من خير يعلمه الله وتزودوا فإن خير الزاد التقوى واتقون يا أولي الألباب ليس عليكم جناح أن تبتغوا فضلا من ربكم فإذا أفضتم من عرفات فاذكروا الله عند المشعر الحرام واذكروه كما هداكم وإن كنتم من قبله لمن الضالين ثم أفيضوا من حيث أفاض الناس واستغفروا الله إن الله غفور رحيم فإذا قضيتم مناسككم فاذكروا الله كذكركم آباءكم أو أشد ذكرا فمن الناس من يقول ربنا آتنا في الدنيا وما له في الآخرة من خلاق ومنهم من يقول ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار أولئك لهم نصيب مما كسبوا والله سريع الحساب. Now the verses before and the verses after also deal with Hajj, and inshallah, for those in my package, inshallah, I'm not saying this like, I'm just saying for those in that package, we're going to be doing all of these in more detail, but this is just a quick refresher. Even if you're not coming in my package, read these verses on your own so that you understand. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 197 onwards, Hajj is performed in the months that are well known. Hajj is performed in the months that are well known. This is the month, Dhul Hijjah, Dhul Qa'dah, these are the months. فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ Whoever has made Hajj obligatory on himself, whoever desires to enter the Hajj, this is the first rukun of Hajj, the niyyah, the pillar. فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ Once you declare, لَبَّيْكَ اللَّهُمَّ لَبَّيْكَ Once you put on your ihram, once you are doing the rites of ihram and Hajj, فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ This, memorize it. فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ Memorize this phrase, O Hujjaj. This is your slogan. This is your mantra. This is your creed by which you will live during the days of Hajj. فَلَا رَفَثَ, no obscenities. وَلَا فُسُوقَ, no sin. وَلَا جِدَالَ, no arguing. This is what Hajj is about. All the rest of your minute questions, leave them for the end. Live by this slogan. Live by this slogan. No obscenities, no vulgarities, no sin, no arguing. In these days of Hajj, control your anger, control your tongue, control your eyes. In these days of Hajj, have your best akhlaq. This is what Allah is saying, because you will be tested. Wallahi, you will be tested. You will be tested in ways you never thought you would be tested. Allah is testing you to see, can you live up to this verse? فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. Now, another phrase, memorize it. وَمَا تَفْعَلُ مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمْهُ اللَّهُ. Any good that you do, Allah will know it. My philosophy of Hajj is stop asking the most minute questions about, can I wear this shoe? Can I wear this underwear? Can I wear this perfume? Leave 5% of your questions for that. 95%, these verses here. وَمَا تَفْعَلُ مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمْهُ اللَّهُ. Whatever good you do, Allah will know and reward you. Find an opportunity to make somebody's Hajj easier. This is what Allah is telling you. وَمَا تَفْعَلُ مِنْ خَيْرٍ. Don't be selfish. You are physically fit. You are tired maybe 20%. The guy next to you is tired 90%. You are thirsty 10%. That Haji coming from Uzbekistan, he doesn't have water on him. Allah is saying, وَمَا تَفْعَلُ مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمْهُ اللَّهُ. I want you to understand in the verses of Hajj, Allah is putting these phrases for you to understand the purpose of Hajj. My pet peeve, my complaint, 95% of the Hujjaj, their questions are not about the spirit of Hajj, the spirituality of Hajj, the reality of Hajj, and they become obsessed with the footnotes of Hajj. This is a problem that really betrays the fundamental misunderstanding of what Hajj is about. Understand, Hajj is a journey that Allah wants you to cleanse yourself, wants you to achieve. We're going to go on in these verses. The verses are full of dhikr, of istighfar, of Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana dua. This is what Hajj is about. It's not about what sandal can I wear. 90% of the questions, they'll show me a sandal. Can I wear this chappal or not, right? This is frustrating because you're not understanding the reality of Hajj. When all you're worried about, you're searching the stores for that perfume-free fragrance. Have you searched your heart to cleanse it of all the filth in there? That is much more important when you go for Hajj. And these are in the verses here. وَمَا تَفْعَلُ مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمْهُ اللَّهُ وَتَزَوَّدُوا. Prepare. Don't just walk in without a bag. Have a bag. Tazawwadu here means prepare for the journey. Make sure you have, your ihram that you need, your belt that you need. Have your lotions. But then what does Allah say? This is in the Quran. فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. Far more important than your suitcase is your taqwa. This is straight from the Quran. وَتَزَوَّدُوا. Prepare. Yes, go and pack your bag. But never forget, خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. Much more important than your physical bag, much more important than your long list of minute questions. It is at-taqwa. It's right in the Quran. وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى وَاتَّقُونِي يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. And always be conscious of me, O people of intelligence. I'm not going to go over every single verse today because obviously it would take much longer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says that فَإِذَا أَفَضْتُم مِّنْ عَرَفَاتٍ فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ عِنْدَ الْمَشْعَرِ الْحَرَامِ وَاذْكُرُوهُ كَمَا هَدَاكُمْ. Notice how many times when you're traveling through Arafat, when you move on from Arafat, when you stay at Muzdalifah, do dhikr of Allah. Remember Allah like you used to remember your forefathers. Pause here. In the days of Jahiliyyah, when they finished Hajj in Mina, they would gather together and they would for 3 days remember the forefathers and their feats, their accomplishments, their wars. That was what Mina was about. Allah says, stop doing that. Like you used to remember your forefathers, remember Allah or even more. أو أشد ذكرى. So the purpose of Hajj dhikr of Allah. This is what Hajj is about. Those 5 days in Mina, in Arafat, in Muzdalifah, Allah is mentioning dhikr and istighfar and taqwa and remembering Him. This is what you should put in mind. And then what does Allah say? Some people say, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا, and they will get nothing of the akhirah. That famous ayah, it's in the context of Hajj. And there are those who say, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. This famous dua that all of you know, it is smack in the middle of the verses pertaining to what? Hajj. Why? Why? Because the main goal of Hajj is dua. That is the fundamental pinnacle of Hajj. And Allah is telling you in the verses of Hajj that when you're doing Hajj, make sure you make dua properly and ask Allah for the dunya and the deen. Ask Allah for this world and the next. And be careful that you only don't ask Allah for this dunya, because that's not healthy. Go ahead and ask for this dunya, but also ask for the akhirah, and ask for hidayah, and ask for maghfirah. This famous ayah, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً, it occurs right in the middle of the verses of Hajj. Because Hajj is about dhikr and istighfar and dua. This is my point in bringing these verses. When you read these verses, you should have a paradigm shift. You should start looking at the broader picture that the Hajj is about the spiritual cleansing. It is about rediscovering and reconnecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is about controlling your anger, your emotions, and constantly doing dhikr and istighfar and dua so that you come back a different person. Now, time is limited obviously. I wanted to give you a broad perspective of the way I view the reality of Hajj. There are 4 different facets, 4 different chapters that you need to master before you go for Hajj. 4 different areas you need to master. And each one of them will help you. But of course, when you're doing Hajj, these 4 become one. And by knowing the 4 separately, it helps you deal with each one separately. But of course, in the real world, sciences are not separate. We study physics, chemistry, biology in high school separately. In reality, the world is all 3 combined, as you know. Similarly, I'm going to give you 4 broad areas. And I want you to spend a few days in each one of them on your own. But then when you're doing Hajj, realize these 4 combine into one. Okay? So far, so clear? Everybody? Yeah? Okay. The first of these, completely separate topic, and I'm going to give you a reference here to look up. The first of these, the blessings of Hajj. This is one chapter you need to study on your own. Just the fada'il of Hajj. This is a chapter topic. This is a booklet topic. This is a series of lectures and khutbahs and durus you will listen to, you will write your notes on, you will have a few pages of. The blessings of Hajj. That is a separate category. Leave it separate. Have a few, 2-3 days, just monitor, listen to lectures, read books about the blessings of Hajj. And the main reference I will give you is Riyadus Salihin of Imam al-Nawawi. Go look up the blessings of Hajj. Simple, just, few pages. Memorize these ahadith about the blessings of Hajj. And I have given khutbahs about the blessings of Hajj. Every Imam and Shaykh and Khatib has given khutbahs about the blessings of Hajj. There are many verses, many ahadith that you should be aware of. Why? Because this chapter will motivate you. This is the beginning of the 4. Because this chapter will cleanse your heart. This chapter will give you incentive. When you realize that. And again, so all of these 4, I don't have time to go into all of them, obviously in 1 hour. I'm just giving you the template, and I want you to fill in the template, right? I'm giving you the bird's eye view, then you go back home and write in more, and inshallah for those with my package, we're going to be doing all of these separately. That's the whole point of the package that I do, is we go over each one of these in detail. The blessings of Hajj, and not just the overall blessings that whoever performs Hajj and doesn't commit a sin will return back as pure as the day his mother gave birth to him, but also specific blessings. The blessings of, for example, talbiyah. Talbiyah, wherever and whenever you say the talbiyah, the Prophet ﷺ said, every single leaf and rock and stone that hears your talbiyah will make shafa'ah for you on the Day of Judgment. So when you're tired, when you're down, when you're feeling just exhausted, look around and you see that shrub over there, you see that sand over there, and then just eke out a talbiyah and say, Ya Allah, that grain of sand, I look forward to the day of judgment, that grain of sand will testify that I heard him even though he was tired. I heard her even though she was exhausted, yet she said the talbiyah wanting your reward. So these small blessings will motivate you. When you're physically exhausted, when you're tired, remember this, right? Know when you're throwing the jamarat, the blessings of that. Know the tawaf al-ifada, which is one of the pinnacles of Hajj, that when you perform tawaf al-ifada, that is the time, the Prophet ﷺ said, by the time he does ifada, when he leaves, he will be as clean as the day his mother gave birth to him. That actually happens not at Arafat, at ifada, right? So ifada is that, so there are many mini pinnacles. There's many highlights of Hajj. Arafat is one spiritual highlight. Ifada is the highlight of what you expect to that. Alhamdulillah, it's, this is my Eid of Hajj, and that's why it's supposed to happen on the 10th, but no problem if you're doing 11th and 12th. Tawaf al-Ifada is the time when you should feel excited. You will be the most tired for Tawaf al-Ifada. When you remember this hadith, this is it. This is my spiritual Eid. When I finish Tawaf al-Ifada, insha'Allah ta'ala, khalas, I am absolutely pure. It will motivate you. It will energize you, right? So the first chapter is, what's it called? The blessings of Hajj, right? This is the first chapter, the blessings of Hajj. Go over it, read about it, the necessary obligation, how obligatory is it, the acceptance, every stage, and the, for example, again, all of this, you should do in more detail, but for example, the Hujjaj are Allah's guests. What a beautiful hadith. Al-Hujjaju wafdullah. The Hujjaj are Allah's guests. He called them, He invited them, and they accepted His invitation. Subhanallah, you are Allah's guests. And when you are Allah's guests, how will that make you feel? When you are a host, how do you treat your guests? Now, to Allah belongs the most perfect example. When Allah is the host, how will He treat His guests? So recognize the blessings. You are only at Hajj because Allah gave you a special invitation. Appreciate it, understand it, and feel a sense of humility and thankfulness and optimism. Nobody invites you to their house of dignity except to show you dignity. Nobody of dignity invites you to humiliate you. So Allah did not invite you to His house to humiliate you. Allah did not invite you to dishonor you. Allah invited you to honor you. Allah invited you to bless you. Allah invited you to forgive you. You already have that invitation. Allah didn't do it except to bless you. So accept Allah's invitation and do the best that you can. And if you do the best that you can, then the reason why Allah invited you will become manifest. So these are all chapter 1, the blessings of Hajj. Go over that, study it, listen to some lectures, read some books about especially the Quran, the Sunnah, about the fada'il of Hajj, and this will motivate you. Memorize some snippets and chapters of this and have it with you. The second chapter of 4 is the legality of Hajj, the legal rulings of Hajj, the fiqh of Hajj. Okay? This is but one aspect of many others. So the fiqh of Hajj is indeed very important, and you need to study it A to Z and make sure you understand what are the arkan and wajibat and sunan, and what is the mubtil, or the thing that annuls the Hajj. So there's only one thing that annuls the Hajj, and that is intercourse in the state of ihram. So you need to know what are the arkan and the wajibat and the sunan and that which nullifies the Hajj. And go over it through any one school, through any one shaykh that you like, and understand, as with all aspects of Islamic fiqh, some things are agreed upon in all the schools, and some things is a gray area. Don't sweat the small stuff. Just like we all know Taraweeh 8 and 20. We all know Zakat on gold. Hanafi said this, Shafi'i said that. We all know hand here, Ameen out loud, Ameen this. And we all live with it. Similarly, understand. Follow your school, your shaykh. Follow the person you trust. And don't worry about the others. It's okay. This gray area, by and large, the big issues are agreed upon. Everybody agrees you have to make the niyyah. Everybody agrees you have to be at Arafat. Everybody agrees you have to do tawaf al-ifada. Everybody agrees you have to do sa'i. Okay, alhamdulillah. So the big issues, everybody agrees. Now, if I accidentally put some perfume on, is Allah going to forgive the accident, or do I have to pay kafara? Okay, some scholars say, just like when you fast and you accidentally eat, you are forgiven. No big deal. You follow your shaykh. And I'm not going to get into all of the fiqh minutiae, but I will say that now is not the time to have fiqh debates. If there's never such a time, but especially during Hajj. So from now, my advice to you, choose your scholar or set of scholars and stick with them. End of story. Choose your scholar and set of scholars and stick with them. Don't worry about other opinions. It's really trivial, really. And Allah will accept your Hajj if you ask any reputable shaykh that knows the fiqh of Hajj and follow that shaykh's positions. It's okay. Don't worry, you're doing the arkan. All the schools agree. And what are the 4 arkan that you must do? And everybody agrees to them. Number 1, so memorize the arkan. That's the one thing you need to memorize, because nobody can make up. If you don't do the arkan, then you are in trouble, right? There are 4 arkan of Hajj. Number 1, the verbal niyyah that, oh Allah, I'm doing Hajj, which can be expressed by labbaik. And everybody does that. By the way, these 4 arkan, if you are with any group, you will do them. I mean, it's impossible that you miss one of these rukun. So don't even worry about it. But you should be aware. The first of these arkan is the verbal intention. You are entering into the Hajj ritual. فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ. This is that reference here, right? And this rukun, it is an intention of the tongue. Please understand, the word ihram has 2 meanings. The first of them, the state, that is a rukun. The second, the cloth, that is wajib. Don't get confused between the two. There's a state, like the state of wudu. And then there's wudu, the act of wudu, right? You can be in the state of wudu after you do the act of wudu. They're 2 separate things. There's the state of ihram. That state is entered by verbalizing. Even if you're wearing a suit and tie, you verbalize it, you're in ihram. Even if you're wearing a suit and tie, and you verbalize at the right time and place, when you're entering miqat, you are in ihram. Ihram is not the garment when you talk about the rukun. The garment is the wajib aspect, which means if you don't have the garment, you will make up by kafara, by fidya, but you have done the Hajj, right? So what is the difference? Rukun, you cannot make up. If you don't have it, you don't have the Hajj. Rukun is an essential pillar. You cannot make up a rukun. You have to do it. This is the most important. Next to it is wajib. And wajib means that you should do it. You must do it. But in case you didn't, you can make it up by a penalty, by a fidya, a kafara, a hadi, and your Hajj is still valid. Sunnah, you know what it is. It's good to do. If you don't do it, no penalty. And mubtil is breaking. And there's only one thing that nullifies the Hajj. Well, I mean, obviously, if you don't do the Hajj, that will be nullified too. But that's like, yeah, that's not. But one act, if you just stop doing a Hajj, I'm not doing Hajj. Well, obviously, that's another thing, right? But the one thing that will nullify your Hajj is conjugal relations, marital relations in the state of ihram. That will nullify your Hajj, and that is the one thing that will nullify. Everything else, if you do anything else, it's not going to nullify the Hajj. So, what are the 4 arkan of Hajj? Number 1, the announcement of ihram. It's called the niyyah. And if you say labbaik, this is the niyyah. And if you say, even in English, oh Allah, I intend to perform Hajj and Umrah, tamattu', this is the niyyah, right? And if you say, oh Allah, I'm performing, Hajj, whatever you say, labbaik Allahumma Hajj, labbaik Allahumma tamattu', labbaik, you just say it and you have the niyyah together, that is your entering the state of ihram. Now, 99% of the Hujjaj are doing Hajj tamattu'. You know all the difference, and that is whether you combine with the Umrah or not. If you combine Hajj and Umrah with one ihram, that is qiran. If you don't do any Umrah, and from, let's say, America, you landed on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, and you straight did Hajj, this is called ifrad, fard, one, just unique. And 99% of the Hujjaj, and I think all of us here as well, we do tamattu', which means an umrah, then you get out of ihram, then you do hajj. This is tamattu' hajj, right? And that's the one that the default. In fact, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, all of the Hujjaj did tamattu', but the Prophet ﷺ did qiran for other reasons besides what we do. But he told the people to do tamattu'. And he himself said, if I could go back, I would myself do tamattu'. So tamattu' is the default. That's what everybody as a default does. So tamattu', you do an umrah, just like any umrah, tawaf, sa'i, and then shave or trim, and that's it, you're out. Then on the 8th, wherever you are, that's why it's called tamattu'. Tamattu' means ease, it means enjoyment, because you don't have to go outside Mecca to put your ihram on for the hajj, because you've done it for the umrah. Is that clear? That's the whole point of tamattu'. You did that for the umrah. When you came in, the whole miqat, you did it when you entered. Once you have done the umrah, khalas, now you are mutamatti'. Now you can enjoy life. Everything is halal for you. You're not in ihram. There's no ihram now. And you go to Medina, you come back, you're staying in Mecca. You are now mutamatti'. So you are now outside of ihram on the morning of the 8th, or some of you might have to leave the night of the 7th, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where you are, even in Mina on the morning of the 8th, or in your hotel on the morning of the 8th. On the morning of the 8th, wherever you are, you will enter ihram. That's why it's called tamattu'. Because you enjoyed the ease of ihram over here. And that is your ihram, that's the first rukun. Labbaik Allahumma hajj. Labbaik Allahumma mutamatti'. Whatever you want to say. Again, don't sweat the small stuff. Allah knows your niyyah. You're just making labbaik. Even if you said labbaik Allahumma labbaik, you're in the niyyah. The point is you are saying the talbiyah and I'm doing the hajj. That's the first rukun. The second rukun, which is the most important rukun, is Arafat. You must physically be in Arafat on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. This is a necessary rukun. If you are not in Arafat, there is no hajj, obviously. And again, if you're doing a package with any group, even if you're walking, everybody's walking there. I have done hajj walking in my younger years, not anymore, I cannot do it, but when I was, mashallah, in my 20s, I've done a few walking hajj. When everybody's walking, you will also walk. You're not going to get lost from Mina, Muzdalifah, Arafat, one-way direction. So everybody is going there. The second rukun is therefore Arafat. The third rukun, Tawaful Ifada. And the fourth rukun is the sa'i of hajj. That's it. So easy. You declare, I'm going to do hajj. You're in Arafat, tawaf and sa'i. That's it. If you have these four, the rest you can make up. Now, as for the wajibat, depends on which school you follow, etc., etc. I don't want to go into all the details, but go and study with any shaykh or you listen to my lectures or anybody. Make sure you are wearing the ihram properly. This is a wajib, not a rukun. It will never break your hajj. If you do anything wrong, then it's you make kafara hadi, right? And the fiqh that I follow, the madhab I follow, anything done accidentally, Allah forgives you. If Allah is going to forgive Ramadan if you eat and drink, then how about if you accidentally use some soap, you didn't realize it? Trivial. Just don't worry about this. Don't let waswasa of shaitan, OCD, spiritual OCD. It's a trivial thing. Don't become obsessed over it. You try your best. Accidentally, if some little thing came in, just wash your hand and that's it. Move on. Intentionally, if you did it, there's a kafara, you feed 6 people, and if you did it for medicinal purposes, there is no sin, and you still feed 6 people. Medicinal purposes. So you have a ointment that has a perfume. And again, I don't want to go into all of this, but if you ask me, brothers and sisters, we become spiritually OCD, waswasa, that we go to extremes when it comes to this issue. What is not allowed in ihram is to wear perfume, not to avoid smell. Wear perfume. Every single substance on earth has some smell. We human beings have a very narrow olfactory system, but everything has a smell. The Sharia did not forbid smell, even if it's a good smell. The Sharia forbade during ihram that you put on something that would constitute, in the culture we live in, perfume. So, if you put on a lotion for dry skin, That lotion has some scent. But nobody would ever say, if you put on lotion, yes, I put on perfume. You see what I'm saying here? Nobody would say, nor would you live your life that way, that if you put on lotion, you would think this is perfume. No. You're putting on lotion for SP50, whatever it is, right? You're putting on something, you might have eczema, you might have some. That eczema lotion has some smell. Maybe even they put in something little fragrant so that the smell doesn't irritate you. But it is not perfume. It is not something that you consider perfume. Don't consider it perfume. It's not perfume. If you ask me, the same goes for the regular soap. Sure, you should avoid as much as possible, but there's no kafara for using something that has a smell. There will be kafara if you take your, Chanel number 5 for the sisters, or, Brut or something for the brothers. Yeah, why did you do that? You see the difference, right? You put some lotion, you're doing it because your skin is dry. You're not doing it for perfume. You put some eau de toilette, and that is perfume. There's a common sense difference. So don't make the Sharia more difficult, okay? And so anyway, my point is, keep it simple. Follow your Shaykh, your group that you follow. But I do have one request. Take it or leave it. And that is, the Shaykh that you go to for fatwa, make sure that Shaykh has performed at least 3 to 5 Hajj himself. And I speak from experience, because those shuyukh who have never performed Hajj ever, and they memorize the books, you find them to be the most unreasonable. And I have seen this with my own eyes, and I am also exhibit A. I have performed, wallah, I'm not even exaggerating, I don't know how many Hajjs. I think 18, I'm not sure. I've lost count of them. But I myself, in your younger years, you read a book written 1,000 years ago, khalas, this is the haqq. And our scholars who live there and do Hajj regularly are more lenient than some 20-year-old kid who's a first-year student in Islamic studies. He reads, the Shaykh 1,000 years ago said this. Ya akhi, the people who do Hajj are more qualified than those who don't do Hajj. And we find, and I have found, and I know because I studied there, the regular scholars who do Hajj give the more realistic and practical fatwa, not because they want to water Islam down, but because Islam is meant to be something that doesn't kill you. Frankly, Islam is meant to be something that preserves your life. And the more you do Hajj and you see the dangers, the more you realize the Sharia is not that strict. So my gentle advice to you, when you find your Shaykh or scholars, just make sure this is a Shaykh that has done Hajj a few times. Because automatically, those that do Hajj a few times, they become a bit more reasonable. That's my only advice to you. Obviously, for those that are coming with me or you want to ask me, no problem. I will tell you overall the basic wajib, but not exhaustive, but the main ones you should be aware of is that wearing ihram and putting all of the mahdhurat or the forbidden things of ihram. This is something that needs to be done. The 8th of Dhul Hijjah, which is the day of Mina, that full day, no scholar said it is wajib. It is sunnah. And it is meant to put you in the mode, put you in the spirit. That full day is preparatory. It's like the jogging before the marathon. Okay? If you are sick, you have a high fever, there are people that are on ventilators and they're going for Hajj, they don't do Mina. They have a special Hajj, they just go straight to Arafat. Okay? So if for whatever reason you cannot do Mina, there's no kafara. None of the madhab say this. It is wajib to remain in Muzdalifah until Maghrib. It is rukun to be in Muzdalifah at any time. If you were to leave before Maghrib, your Hajj is valid, but you have to pay a hadi. So understand the rukun and the wajib. The rukun, you are in Arafat at some point of the day. Wajib, you extend it to Maghrib. Is that clear? Right? Staying to Maghrib is wajib. And if you leave before Maghrib, you have committed an infraction that needs a hadi. So this is wajib to stay until Maghrib. Muzdalifah is another wajib. And here we have 2 options in Muzdalifah. I'm going this very quickly. 2 options. Option A, the Prophet ﷺ allowed the sick and the elderly and those that were in charge of the logistics of Hajj, those that have to set the tents, those that have to bring water, sick, elderly, and those that have to perform the logistics of Hajj, to leave Muzdalifah in the middle of the night. Now, Salama was neither sick nor elderly. Salama, she was a woman of large stature, and so she walked slowly. So she said, Ya Rasulullah, can I join? He said, sure, go ahead and join. What does this show? It shows anybody with the slightest excuse may leave Muzdalifah in the middle of the night. What is a slight excuse? You have a child with you. You are normal, but you have a child with you. You have an elderly parent. Your spouse has a fever. You don't want to send your spouse alone. You are fine. She has the full excuse. You also have the excuse. So in Muzdalifah, anybody with a slight excuse, something that is awkward or a nuisance, right? You may leave in the middle of the night. So middle of the night means from Maghrib to Fajr, do the middle, and after that, without any penalty, no kafara. But if you have no excuse, you should stay until Fajr. Is that clear? You stay until Fajr. And you pray Fajr in Muzdalifah, and from Muzdalifah, then you go to Mina. And on Mina, on the 10th, so by the way, those who go in the middle of the night, they may do the Rami as soon as they get there. That's the whole point. The whole purpose of sending them early is what? You do when there's no crowd. So the whole point of you sending early, they go early, they do the Rami. And of course on the 10th, you only do the large Rami. By the way, the picking of the stones can be done anywhere. Muzdalifah is convenient because Muzdalifah is full of pebbles. But Muzdalifah is not some sacred land for the pebbles. You can pick pebbles from your backyard, no problem, right here in Plano. You can pick pebbles and it would count just as much. No madhab or no fiqh says that only Muzdalifah pebbles are valid. No, it's logistically makes sense that right before you have to throw, Muzdalifah is full of pebbles, let me just pick it up and take it. That's it. Otherwise you can pick it anywhere, doesn't really matter. So on the 10th, there are 4 things you have to do. 3 of them should be done on that day, and 1 can be delayed. So far, so clear. 3 of them really should be done on that day. 1 can be delayed. The 3 that really should be done, the sunnah is to do them in a particular order, but you may do them in any order without any penalty, because on that day, multiple people came to the Prophet and they said, Ya Rasulullah, I did 2 before 1, I did 3 before 4, I did it. And every time somebody came, he said, no problem. So the tartib is not wajib. Tartib is not wajib. But there is a sunnah tartib. The sunnah tartib, number 1, you do the Rami. Number 2, you do the halq. Number 3, you do the qurbani, udhiyah. Number 4, you do the tawaf al-ifada. These are the 4 things. The tawaf al-ifada can be delayed. It doesn't have to be done on the 10th. So this leaves 3. The udhiyah, nobody does it anymore. You just pay somebody to do it. So this leaves how much? 2 now. And therefore, 2 things, when you do them, the 3rd will be done because udhiyah you've done. So basically, when you do 2 of these 4, you are out of the state of minor ihram. You may take a ghusl, wear new clothes, put on your perfume, and you are, the only thing that is not allowed is conjugal relations with your spouse, and that will be allowed technically after tawaf al-ifada, right? So tawaf al-ifada is what makes you completely outside of the state of ihram. Until you do tawaf al-ifada, then you can get out of the mahdurat of ihram, the clothing issues. Only the conjugal relation is left. So the rami and the halq will be done on the 10th. The udhiyah, you pay money, somebody has done it. The tawaf al-ifada, it is up to you and your group. Many people will go on the evening of the 10th, and that's great. Others will go morning of the 11th, evening of the 11th. Some people might even delay it until they leave Hajj. And that is permissible. I wouldn't advise it unless you're sick, because the sunnah is to do ifada and another one tawaf al-wada', but it's up to you. If you want to do it, it's fine. And especially for those that are sick, very useful. And for ladies in their monthly cycle, they might have to delay to the very end, so then that's not a problem as well. They can also do that. But Tawaf al-Ifadah has no end time. It is the end of your journey. Tawaf al-Ifadah, the beginning time is when you leave Muzdalifah. As soon as you leave Muzdalifah, Tawaf al-Ifadah can begin, and then it ends with your departure from Hajj. Okay, so these are the wajibat on the 10th. Then the next wajibat is spending at least half the night of the 10th and the 11th in Mina. At least half the night. It is sunnah to spend the full night. It is sunnah to spend most of the day in Mina. But it is not wajib. It is not wajib to spend the days in Mina. It is not wajib to spend the full night in Mina. It is sunnah to spend the full night, but if you spend the majority of the night, you have done what is required of you. Now, this does not apply for Tawaf al-Ifadah. If you leave Mina for Tawaf al-Ifadah, there's no penalty, because Tawaf al-Ifadah is rukun, and staying in Mina is a wajib. Rukun is higher than wajib. So if you leave Mina at 8 p.m. and you only come back at Fajr, no penalty, because you are engaged in Tawaf al-Ifadah. There's no sin in that. Okay? So leaving Mina for Tawaf al-Ifadah, no penalty. Leaving Mina because you're tired and you want to go to your hotel or whatever, there's a penalty. But if you were to spend most of the night, you have done aqall al-wajib, that is permissible for you. And if you spend more, it is better for you. The days of Mina, all you need to do is to do the rami of the jamarat, all three of them. Now, listen to me carefully. And I'm not trying to brag or boast, astaghfirullah, but because I lived there and because I did Hajj so often, I have read dozens of classical and pre-modern and modern books about these issues. So when I tell you my opinion, I can assure you it's not just 5 minutes of research. I have spent decades doing Hajj and researching these issues, and I know the positions back and forth, so take it or leave it. So listen to me, my humble opinion that I have. The timing of Jamarat is a very hot, contested issue amongst the scholars. There's a lot of back and forth. That's why I spend years studying it, because people love to debate. So I'll give you my summary. The timing of the Jamarat on the 11th and 12th. As for the 10th, the timing of Jamarat begins when you leave Muzdalifah, and it ends at Maghrib. Clear? 10th is easy. 11th and 12th. The position that I follow after years of research, really, there are sunnah timings and there are jaiz timings. Sunnah timing and jaiz timing. Just like I believe Salat al-Isha has sunnah timing and jaiz timing. Sunnah of Salat al-Isha is from the beginning until the middle of the night. Jaiz from the middle of the night until Salat al-Fajr. It's not good, but if you were to pray, you have prayed Isha and there's no penalty. It's not qada. You understand? If you pray Isha at 3 a.m., you have not done good, but you have not done sin. And you have done what is obligatory, and there's no qada and there's no penalty on you. Okay? Sunnah timing of the rami from dhuhr until maghrib. Dhuhr to maghrib. On the, what days, guys? 11th and 12th. Jaiz timings on both days. Fajr until the next Fajr. Fajr until the next Fajr. But for the 12th, if you stay after Maghrib, what must you do? Spend the night to the 13th. So the rami is jaiz, but then you have obligated on yourself a third day. So the jaiz rami, and we know this because in the hadith in Tirmidhi, a man came and said, Ya Rasulullah, I got busy, I could only do rami ba'd al-maghrib fil layl. He literally asked on the 11th. And the Prophet said, no problem, la haraj. He literally said, la haraj. This indicates that if for any reason you weren't able to do rami by maghrib time, and you did it after maghrib, it is considered to be jaiz. And this is especially useful if you have somebody elderly in a wheelchair. I mean, this is the most difficult time of Hajj. In terms of logistics and crowd and rush, this is very difficult. So if you have a child with you, if you have a pregnant lady, if you have an elderly person, or you don't know, you might have a fever. Guys, I'll be honest with you, last year, because the temperature was 100 something, I got into a fever. It was a very difficult Hajj for me, the first time in my life. And I'm not embarrassed to say this, because Allah is not wanting us to, the first time in my life, I had to give my stones to somebody and say, here, you do Rami for me. I couldn't go, I was in bed, literally with a fever. This is, the Sharia is not asking you to, go crazy on yourself. I could not go, and one day I came late and I did it, no problem. And one day I had to give to somebody. So you don't know how you're going to be. It's okay if you have to give somebody or whatever. The point is that you may do the Hajj, you may do the Rami, basically from the Fajr, and that includes on the 12th, yes, from the Fajr, up until the next day's Fajr. But if it's the 12th, then you need to do it by Maghrib, or else you have to stay the 13th, okay? And then the Tawaf al-Wada' is wajib for all the men. And for the women, it is wajib if they haven't started their monthly cycle. And if they start their monthly cycle and they've done ifadah, there is no penalty and they leave. So wada' is dropped from them. So this is the second chapter. I'm going to quickly finish up. There's a lot I have to do. I didn't realize the time. The second chapter is the fiqh of Hajj. The third chapter is the lub, the big issue of Hajj, and that is the spirituality of Hajj. And this is where you will study the reality of dhikr, the reality of dua. You will understand why you're doing Hajj. You will write down your adhkar that you want to do, your du'as that you want to do. The spirituality of Hajj. This is the third chapter. So the first was blessings. The second was fiqh. The third was spirituality. Spirituality is the pinnacle. It is the most important. And you need to prepare yourself spiritually. You need to prepare yourself. And the one advice I will give you about this issue is that for those of you that have never been for Hajj, understand you do not and will not be prepared for Hajj the way you think you will be prepared. Understand this, because half the battle is to know beforehand. As I said when I was giving my lecture the other day online, for those of you that attended, here you are in air-conditioned rooms. You're going to go back home, read a book about Hajj, sip your nice chai, mashallah, and you will imagine yourself on the day of Arafah like an angel. You will imagine yourself with a mystical kashf. Dhawq will happen to you, right? The sitar will be lifted up, okay? And you imagine yourself to be having full experience. And you don't realize that you will be sweaty, stinking, smelly, tired, exhausted, stench everywhere, every type of stench. May Allah protect all of us. It's the reality of Hajj. You have 2 million people there, right? And it's just a nightmare. You will not have the type of spirituality you are imagining in your living room you're going to have. It's not going to happen. I'm just telling you from now. Flutter back to reality and understand to carve out 10% spirituality on the day of Arafah is worth 200% in your living room. Do you understand me? 10%, if you get it on the day of Arafah, it is wallahi worth more than 200% in your living room. Don't feel that your mystical experience that you think you're going to have it. No. That's the jihad of Hajj. To carve out as much khushu' in spite of your exhaustion, in spite of your pain, in spite of the sweat. I mean, may Allah protect all of us. You haven't experienced desert heat the way that you will in 2 weeks. You have not experienced, most of you, pure, raw desert heat, along with 2 million people, not even wearing your regular clothes and no deodorant. You have not experienced what you're about to experience. So don't imagine that you're just going to rise up in the air spiritually and flutter like a bird. No. It's going to be very dirty, grimy, difficult, and in that environment, you're going to force yourself to find spirituality. And whatever you're able to find, that is your jihad. Do you understand what I'm saying here, right? Flutter to reality. This is spirit. And on that day, one of your acts of worship, you're going to walk around and see how can I make somebody else's Hajj better. Don't be selfish. You're going to see people, they have saved 60, 70 years and they're sleeping on the road. And you are complaining because your AC is only at 75 and not 70. Wallah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You will be complaining that your water is not cold and the person outside doesn't have a tent and they're in that desert heat. On that day, take some water, say, Akhi, here, take some water. That is what Hajj is about. Your helping of other people is worth 1,000 of your dhikr and du'as on that day, the day of Arafah. So, spirituality, understand this, okay? Obviously now, make sure that you reserve your energy for the 9th. This is the whole point. And I say something, if you haven't been for Hajj, astaghfirullah, you're going to say, this is blasphemy. La hawla wa quwwata billah. But hey, this is my advice, take it or leave it. As somebody who has done Hajj too many times. Hajj is not the time that you should be exhausting yourself by doing extra acts of worship before the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. You should actually relax as much as you can, physically, on the 5th, 6th, and 7th. This is my actual advice, and I do this myself. Because the next 3-4 days, you need to be fully, you must have slept properly, you must have full consciousness so that you are able to perform at maximum efficiency on the day of Arafah. This is not the time to go do extra tawaf in the haram. That go off season. This is not the time to squeeze in some more umrahs. People think that, no, go off season and do as much as you want. Now, after you've done your tawaf and sa'i of umrah, khalas, come back and now dhikr, study, do some mental preparation, make sure you're doing all the stuff you need to do, and then bismillah, prepare yourself for the 9th. And of course, on the 9th, make sure that you pace yourself. This is again very important. The peak spirituality on the 9th should be after Asr until Maghrib. I repeat, peak spirituality. And this is another point, because we are human beings, guys. You cannot do dhikr and Quran and dua non-stop for 8 hours. It's not possible. If you think you can, just try doing it right here and now for 1 hour. You're not going to be able, in AC, you're not going to be able to do it. Imagine in the heat of Arafah, the sweat of Arafah, the stench, the tiredness, you're jam-packed like sardines. Literally, you have a space right next to you, right now. Somebody coughs, the whole tent is going to hear. You think you're going to find khushu over there? So you have to try your best and then save your spirituality as much as you can for that last hour and a half, 2 hours from the Asr time up until Maghrib time. Okay, so this is my 3rd chapter, and that is the chapter of what? Spirituality. 4th and final chapter, and very few people talk about this. And that is logistical advice. Logistical advice. Tips, perks, the insider scoop. Only those that have done Hajj multiple times can give you the list of logistical advice. What you should do to make your Hajj logistically easier. Now, logistical advice, some of it is generic and some of it is group specific. Your group is going to give you specific advice. Generic logistical advice, generic. Everybody says it, but during the days of Hajj, hardly anybody follows it. Eat as little as you can. Cut back on the heavy grease and stuff. The chawal and biryani, you don't need it at that time. Healthy food, light food. Cleanse your system. Believe me, you don't want to go number 2. Believe me, I'm sorry to be blunt, but you just don't. Minimize. You just don't want to stand in line. Logistical advice. Mina, bathrooms, hour and a half minimum. Minimum, hour and a half. Do you want to spend 3-4 hours going to the bathroom twice? That's Mina for you. So be logistical. Now the problem comes, it's summer. So you must be drinking. So drink, go ahead. But food, be wise. Okay? And that's why pack healthy snacks. And if the buffet comes, take 2-3 items that are healthy, bananas, whatever, and a little bit of food, and the rest you have with your snacks that you need. Logistical advice, water bottle. Make sure you have a water bottle at all times. Logistical advice, tablets for dehydration, very important. And study or read the letter or whatever, how many times you should take it and what is the best way, your salt needs to be replenished. Logistical advice, have a umbrella. Believe me, 110 degrees Fahrenheit in the heat of Mecca, la hawla quwwata billah, and you're going to be walking 40-50 minutes. It is not a nice thing. So logistical advice, have an umbrella and make sure. Logistical advice, and I'm not saying this so that you can use TikTok, make sure your phones are charged and you have backup battery. I'm not saying this for TikTok. Phones are lifelines. If you get lost, that phone will be call somebody, WhatsApp somebody. So not for TikTok, not for Facebook, but lifeline. So have a battery pack that will charge your phone, right? Put your phone on energy save mode. Do not, I don't need to tell you this, but wallahi, mark my words, on the day of Arafah, you will see people scrolling through Facebook and TikTok. Don't be amongst them, please. Okay, you will see people, you don't be amongst them. So don't have the battery of your phone for this, but you need it because you might not find a plug for 2 days. Or everybody's using it and you can't plug it in, next thing you know, you have to leave. So have a battery pack, right? The power thing. And use your phone wisely and make sure it is charged, because on the 8th and the 9th and the 10th, if you get lost, that will be a lifesaver for you. You will text somebody, find somebody and whatnot. Logistical advice. Memorize your tent in Mina. Write that number down, and on the 8th, when things are a little bit good for you, take a walk around, look at the map. There are maps everywhere. And now this is a natural talent. Some people, they see a map, they memorize it. Other people, even if they have the map in front of them, they don't know. So if you have the talent, make sure. Otherwise, at least remember the number. At least remember your tent number and your tent location. Why? Because there are Boy Scouts everywhere. They have the Boy Scout uniform, right? There are Boy Scouts everywhere in Hajj. Youth, high school. You will go to those Boy Scouts, you will say, I am lost, this is my tent number. And they will start directing, go there. So make sure you have your tent number on the 8th, because worst case scenario, if you get lost, everybody's walking Mina, Arafat, Muzdalifah, you will find your way back to the tent in Mina. That's the main point. Logistical advice, make sure that you always have some snacks in your backpack. Your backpack. Yes, backpack. Do not take a heavy backpack. You're not going camping in the wilderness. There's water everywhere and there's food. Have a light backpack that has the essentials for 2 days. So some snacks, some, the cell charger, whatever, just light backpack that you need, not too heavy. And the water bottle, super important. Make sure you have the water bottle everywhere. Also, make sure that you have cash on you, because there's food everywhere. Worst case scenario, you will get free food, but why would you want to, buy some food? There are going to be stalls, going to be water. Alhamdulillah, there's free water everywhere. But why not, in case you need it, have some cash with you? 100 riyals, 200 riyals is enough. That is enough to get by. And logistical advice as well is that even when you're going to Mecca and Medina, do not have heavy suitcases. You're not going for shopping. The lightest you have, 2-3 thobes for the brothers, few garments for the sisters, the rest just wash over there. There is washing machine available. Even a heavy suitcase for Makkah, Medina, it's a logistical hassle to carry. If you can get by. If not, then khalas, leave the heavy suitcase in the hotel. But definitely for Mina and Arafat, the lighter you pack, the better it is. Now a lot of you will have a carry-on. You will leave that in Mina, right? I get it, that's fine. I try to have even less than that. But people are different. Realize protection in Mina, guards in Mina are not, things happen. Realize that. people are people wherever they are. But overall, alhamdulillah, it's not that common, but it is possible. It is possible. So logistical advice, travel lightly, pack lightly. The backpack you should have, most packages will give you a mattress and a pillow and a blanket from Muzdalifah. So find out. If your package will give you that, then you don't even have to have that with you. So it's just a matter of, some personal food and drink and, hydration and tablets, medicine. Final logistic advice, medicine. Make sure you always have your medicine on you. Asthma or any type of blood pressure or something of this nature, you must be carrying it with you at all times in case anything happens. Final logistical advice, have some type of ID on you. I know it's a bit morbid, but you need to have this, right? Some type of ID on you, not your passport, okay? You don't want your passport in Mina Muzdalifah, but something on your persona. You get the point. I don't want to be too explicit. You should have some type of ID and a phone number. That a piece of paper that you put in your belongings, in your carry-on, not carry-on, what do you call the pouch? Make sure you have some type of ID in this so that, if need be, it is something for you there. So, to conclude, 4 different areas. Number 1, the blessings of Hajj. Number 2, the fiqh of Hajj. Number 3, the spirituality of Hajj. Number 4, the logistics of Hajj. Each one, go and do some research and study so that you have a good idea. Then when you're actually doing Hajj, all 4 will be combined together and you will automatically know which one is which. It'll give you some comfort and knowledge and make your Hajj easier. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept the Hajj of all of those that are going for Hajj. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to come back ameen salimin ghalimin. For those that are not going for Hajj, I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you to go for Hajj as soon as possible next year or the year after that. And may Allah azza wa jal allow all of us to be of those who have performed Hajj and have our Hajj accepted. Wa jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
فيا ذلي ويا خجلي إذا ما قال لي ربي أما استحييته تعصيني ولا تخشى من العتب وتخفي الذنب عن خلقي وتأبى في الهوى قربي فتب مما جنيت عسى تعود